Patriot Smoothie, I am here on day 11 of the trial that never ends for Tamara Lich and Chris Barber. Talk about that in just a moment, but today, as you may or may not be aware, is the 1 million March for Kids across Canada in many major cities and towns. In Ottawa and Toronto, I think it's going by a different name, same concept. A huge showing of support here in Ottawa with the protesters taken to the streets, blocks and blocks, I'm told many thousands of people even. There was at a time a counter protest did make its way to the Hill. Police saying earlier that they would keep the groups apart, but the counter protesters, including, let's call them union agitators, union provocateurs, including NDP leader MP Jagmeet Singh and NDP MPP Joel Harden for the Ottawa area, Centertown down here, were in the group of union provocateurs, about 200 to 300 of those, yelling at parents, standing up for the rights to parent their kids the way that they think is best. And again, this is a position, parental rights, that is supported by the majority of voting Canadians. The majority of voters support parental rights. So the NDP is putting itself firmly against the majority of Canadian voters on this very contentious issue, but a very large showing, a great march, and totally peaceful in Ottawa. There are similar events happening across Ontario, Toronto, Whitby, Hamilton, Niagara, Welland, all over the place, in Calgary, in Manitoba, in Winnipeg. Huge numbers in the East Coast to the West Coast. Great showing across this country today for that. So now diving back into the trial, and if you want to support the work I am doing here, send me an e-transfer, Real Patriot Smoothie at protonmail.com. Real Patriot Smoothie at protonmail.com. Every dollar helps me continue to be here in the courtroom and listen and endure this and give the information back to you. So today we had Kim Ayotte for the second day of his testimony. Again, Greenspun raising the point that Kim Ayotte had these notes. There was no notes brought to court yesterday. Very, maybe perhaps unprepared. I don't want to say that, it's kind of unfair, but kind of how it came across. And then, but a month ago there was a meeting, I think on August 16th, where Kim Ayotte indicated he needed his notes. So very questionable as to why no notes were brought to court yesterday with him. Moving on throughout the trial this morning, we heard we had to delay it till 10 a.m., the start of the trial, so that the Crown and the witness could gather themselves together. Then we went through basically Kim Ayotte's personal observations that he made, supported by photographic evidence he took on his phone on February 11th and other days, where he observed several infractions, I guess, against the convoy. And he also testified that he had no communication with Tamara Lich and had some communication with Chris Barber. That was following a city meeting initiated by former city manager of Ottawa, Steve Kaliankos. I can't say that, can't spell it. Everyone calls him Steve K. So it was a meeting initiated by the former city manager, where as the person in charge of emergency services and preparedness for Ottawa, Kim Ayotte sat in. Chris Barber was there, some other people, PLTs, and that there was this plan to move the trucks. So Kim Ayotte and Chris went back and forth about this plan to move the truck, and from at least on 2 days, I think it was the 14th to the 15th of February, Chris had reported, communicated with Mr. Ayotte about the progress of moving the trucks, and said that he moved 40 trucks, that he was really tired, that he was going to get to it again. And Kim Ayotte reached out to basically say, if you have a problem with moving barriers, reach out to me. But then there was also the police involved, who was another layer, who were causing issues for Chris and his plan to move these trucks, as we're hearing testified in court. So we'll elaborate more on that when it comes out. So again, that's the extent of communication, none with Tamara, and those communications with Chris Barber that Kim Ayotte personally had. As for the observations he made on his walks, called recon walks, Greenspun very interested in those. Of course, they were never testified about at the POEC. At the POEC under oath, Kim Ayotte testified only one such walk. Now there are at least 3 such walks that they're talking about. So we'll delve more into those details as they come out in the courtroom. But on those walks, Kim Ayotte said he saw things like constant honking, heard constant honking, at least for the first week while he was in the office from 7 in the morning to 9 at night, that he observed illegal use of roads and congestion. And some of the illegal use of roads that he testified about were bouncy castles and hot tubs on sidewalks and illegal dance parties that were on the street set up without a permit. So those are the kind of things we're hearing about in court today. As things come out, I'll keep you updated. Thanks for watching. I'm Patriot Smoothie. See you next time.